Imagine you can see the words on the screen, and we are going to do the best we can. This is the wonder of technology. When it works, it's great. And when it doesn't, well, then it doesn't. And joining us this evening is Sarah Cowan, filling in for Cantor Alexander, who's enjoying some well-deserved vacation. So please join us in music and in song here this evening.
Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Shalom. Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Shalom. Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Shalom. Blessed, 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 blessed will you be when you blessed will you be when you choose to go. Blessed, 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 blessed will you be in the here and now. Blessed, blessed, blessed will you be. Shalom. Blessed, 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 blessed will you be when you enter. Blessed, blessed, blessed will you be when you choose to go. Blessed, blessed, blessed will you be.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you for your patience. Thank you to all of our technical workers in the back, striving to make sure that we have a blessed Shabbat. It is a time for us to pause and reflect and be part of a community. It is time to welcome each other into this sacred time with melody and in song and with word. It is a time, as noted in our Torah portion, Parashat Rabbi, not just to hear each other, but also Rabbi, to see each other. And not just to see each other as you are, to see each other in your stature and your clothes and your presentation, but to also strive to see each other as you are in your very souls. And so with that in mind, we're going to take a moment now for you to see each other and welcome each other. We'll invite you to turn and welcome someone near you or next to you. Maybe you haven't met before, you haven't seen this past week or this past day or within the past 5 minutes.
Welcome.
Thank you. And now we will continue with the lighting of our Erev Shabbat candles. We invite up Joan and Charles Shapiro to lead us in the lighting of our candles so we can formally begin Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. And we continue now with the welcoming in of the Sabbath bride with Lecha Dodi. And we continue now with singing about the angels of Shabbat. The story goes that on every Shabbat, there are two angels sent from heaven to earth. And these angels peer into every window of every Jewish home. It's less creepy than it sounds. And if they look in and they see the family having a wonderful Shabbat observance with candles and challah and all their favorite dishes, and they're singing the melodies and enjoying their family together, the angel who is on the not so good side has to say to the good angel, may it be so, always. And if they go to a home and they see the opposite, they see chaos and fighting and arguing. Of course, none of us have homes like that. The good angel has to look at the not so good angel and say, may it be so. So as we welcome in these angels of Shabbat, these mythical beings, may our Shabbats be filled with the blessings of family, of love, and of celebration of this sacred day.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh
continue now with the formal call to worship with the Baruch Hu. We invite all those who so choose to rise in body and or in spirit at this time. La 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Please join me if you wish. Give your love wings to soar with the music and the prayers that dance between us, that sing around us, that rise shimmering to the heavens in radiance and glory. Give your heart freedom to float breathless in the vastness of the universe, to become one with the soul of all being, to enter the majesty of light, pulsing from the ancient yearnings of our hearts. Give your love wings to soar, and when you reach God's holy place, open your hands in blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated.
Ve'ahavta
Et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lebavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha v'beitecha uv'lechtecha v'aderech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם emet. Please join me if you wish. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place of promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. join me? Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עודי לעולם, עודי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Continue now with the Amidah, the central section of our worship service. We invite all those who so choose to rise in body and or in spirit at this time.
Adonai tzipata tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha.
Adonai, open my lips, and my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo b'Yahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham be'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rab lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar. Mi chamocha ba'al givurot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata le'achayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Ata kadosh u'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom ya'elu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. B'tov b'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובראשה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים
At this time in our worship service, our thoughts turn to our friends, family, loved ones, those in our lives, our congregational family, our community, our worlds, all those who are ill and ailing. And we offer up the following prayer of healing. Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov, v'imotenu Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah. May the God of our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless all those who are ill and ailing. On this Shabbat, we think of Susan Alexander, Joe Alvarado, Susie Anderson, Hal Arnold, Juventino Avalos, Virginia Becker, Tony Beraldi, Jeff Bradfield, Jean Brusco, Lisa Brunkhorst, Hildado Carrera, Sandy Christofferson, Kevin Cooper, John Cunningham, Jen Dawson, Dominic Eads, Ariana Elnis, Scott Farkas, Mildred Fisher, Jenny Forrell, Judy Kamen, Ronald Kaplan, Nancy Katz, Stephen Kipperman, Karen Levin, Brandy Matson, Emily McWhirter, Carmen Moon, Brian Nog, Pedro Comi Olimpio, Nadine Ostro, Doris Parker, Wendy Passer, Gail Peterson, Jamie Poole, Kathy Popelka, Mark Ratner, Mimi Rogers, Gloria Romero Downing, Holly Rosenberg, Samuel Rosinski, George Sachs, Steve Seglin, Teresa Serrano, Linda J. Sherman, Renee Sloan, Teresa Smith, Dee Dee Spiegel, Chrissy Swenson, Sarah Jane Tietzel, Laura J. West, Barb Wigg, Brent Wine, Norm Wine, Kate Uliel. Are there any additions or corrections you'd like to add at this time? And for those joining us via Zoom, we also include Sheldon Babendor, Glenn Arnold, Emerson Lewis, and Kathleen Steele. May the God of our ancestors bless all those who are ill and ailing with the refuah shlema, complete recovery of mind, of body, of spirit. And for those unable to make a full recovery, may God continue to be a source of peace and comfort in their lives. May God grant strength to those who are dealing with the challenges of mental illness and or addiction. And for those who love them and care for them, may God provide them with strength. And to all of us who love them, may we find strength in supporting our loved ones during their times of illness and to support each other during these challenging journeys. We join together now in Misha Berach, which you can find up on our screens.
Source of strength, oh bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say
I do apologize for having the wrong slide up there. Nonetheless, our hearts continue to turn to our loved ones, all those who are ill and ailing. This week, as I mentioned, we will be reading from Parashat Re'eh. Re'eh marks the third of 4 sermons Moses gives to the Israelites as they are about to enter into the land of Canaan, the land without him. Moses is addressing all the assembled people with the words, Re'eh anochi noten lifnechem hayom bracha uklala. See, this day I set before you blessing and curse. Here Moses is laying before the Israelites 2 starkly different life's choices, living a life filled with blessing and meaning, or a life without. And in order to make the right choice, the Israelites need to open up their eyes and see, to really see what was around them. Of course, this is easier said than done. It is so easy to be focused on life's challenges that one can miss potential opportunities of blessings. As Rabbi Artson wrote in the Bedside Torah, in the midst of all these anxieties, and goodness knows we live in a world filled with anxieties, how are we to live? Isn't unrelenting gloom a rational response? Many scholars and philosophers, struck by life's apparent pointlessness, have counseled emotional withdrawal from the passions of living for precisely that reason. We live and we die without hope of any real breakthrough in human understanding or harmony. Is despair the most logical attitude to cultivate? Perhaps it is. I mean, let's be honest. But then again, people have never been, nor will ever be, strictly rational. We are not Spock. And life is far too variegated to fit any single response. So what does that mean for us as Jews? Is there one right way to do Judaism? Though some might argue there was only one way to do Judaism, they could not be more wrong. In the words of Rabbi Rachel Sabbath Beit Halachmi, if someone tells you that Judaism is X or Y, you should never believe them. Judaism is such a complex civilization. It is made up of religion and culture, language and land, a particular kind of peoplehood, Sephardic, Ashkenazic, good food, Ashkenazic food. In every context, different aspects of Judaism have been lived out in countless different ways. Judaism is not only complex, but is also filled with contradictory opinions, so that any single view will, by definition, fail to offer a full sense of all the possibilities. This, I admit, is what I most love about being Jewish. Yet in our current reality of increasing identity, politics, and ethical complexities, it is ever more urgent to define who we are and what, at our core, we are about as Jews. What is it that makes us who we are? Do we, in fact, know, as Rabbi Irving Yitz Greenberg and others have framed it, who and whose we are? Despite all our complexities and all the vehement reductionist discourse, however, I still believe we can say something very clear about who we are. And for those of us who are religious, about whose we are, an Am Kadosh, a people consecrated to the eternal our God, a holy people. I believe that at its core, Judaism primarily strives to achieve two particular goals: an ethical development of human beings and the establishment of an ethical society. For the Torah, the descendants of Abraham are a people with whom to make a sacred covenant and attempt to achieve those goals. The Israelites' preparations both to enter the land where they will be able to live out these visions and to create an ideal society are the central motifs of Deuteronomy, and a particular focus in Parashat Re'eh. In fact, at the center of the Mishnah, the sixth book, first collection of Jewish law, is Pirkei Avot, the ethics of our ancestors, the quintessential tractate about interpersonal ethics. For the Deuteronomist, who you are for much of this section of the Torah is defined by what you do. If you are God's sacred people, you observe particular ways of being in the world. If you want to create an ethical society, you take care of the needy. Well, in the vision of the Deuteronomist, the ideal society will have no needy. The authors also know that any human society will always have those who are in need. And thus we need to be very clear, as the commentator Rashi emphasizes, we must open our hands and hearts to give whatever is needed. All this, of course, is based on who we are as well. Bear in mind that you were slaves in the land of Egypt. Our relationship with God, whose we are, is in the repetition of stating that we know because of whom we were redeemed and by whose Torah we seek to live. So the Deuteronomist insists we show that we love God through particular ethical and ritual practices, by resisting other practices, and only engaging in practices of a sacred existence expressed in how we consume food, how we take care of others, how we protect the land, and how we remember our blessings. This section of the Torah covers an incredibly wide range of behaviors that serve to create and maintain identity. From understanding the blessings of making the right choices about living in the promised land, to vigilantly choosing to worship the one God, to partaking of food of the earth and eating of the animal kingdom with limitations, to taking care of the needy. This section of Deuteronomy is laser focused on behaviors that will ensure the Israelites will maintain a particular identity in order to achieve larger goals. To be God's people means to find ways in everyday behaviors of eating, walking, sleeping, teaching, plowing the fields, that acknowledge with humility whose we are through what we do, which is who we are. Choosing the good over and over again, as this section repeats like a chorus, defines each of us as being part of this particular Israelite nation. Other nations have their particular way of being, and we have ours, lived out through the mitzvot of how we treat each other, how we treat the earth, how we treat animals, and how we respond to God. What is often framed, according to Judaism, through the lenses of Deuteronomy as a tension between the particular and the universal is resolved, because the particular and the universal are in fact unified. They're Einstein's unified theory of Jewish ethics. It is our particularity that our universal values are lived out. In being particular, we are in fact being universal. Judaism in all its complexity is above and beyond all about being good, about knowing what we have, that we have free will, and at every moment can engage in choosing life and that which is good. Choosing that which sustains human society. There is always the possibility of blessing. There is always the possibility of curse. Much of what happens, however, is actually because of what we choose. Identity is not only made up of the family and the tribe into which we were born, or the family and tribe in which we choose to reside, but also shaped by the ethical choices we make as individuals. Collective identity, however, is determined by the ritual and ethical practices we engage in as a community, which in turn establishes who and whose we are to the greater scheme of history. Every day, we face countless choices. What to eat, what to wear, what show to watch, paper or plastic, royals, cardinals, cubs. And there are nearly as many ways to do Judaism. And like these other choices, how we choose to express our Judaism becomes a reflection of ourselves and our community. These choices are not always easy. But when we choose for the good, we're always choosing blessing, gratitude, and joy. What we cannot and should not do is allow others to define or make those choices for us. For as it says in the beginning of Re'eh Anochi Noten Lifnechem Hayom Bracha Uklakla. See, this day I have set before you blessing and curse. Blessing or curse. The choice is yours. Or to borrow from Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade, choose wisely. Shabbat Shalom. We continue now with the words of Aleinu. We once again invite all those who so choose to rise in body and or in spirit at this time.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשינו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא
may be seated. Our thoughts turn now to our own loved ones, the martyrs of our people, those who have died in the season and in years past. And when you hear the name of a loved one, we invite you to rise in body and or in spirit. And if you choose to rise in body, or if you are able, we encourage you to remain standing. We're in the period of Shloshim, the 30 days of mourning, for Celine Spencer, for Jerry Goldstrom, and for Dr. Edward S. Cohn. And the Yortzites, the anniversaries of the deaths we observe this week, are for Sam Alperson, Rose Blumkin, Walter Brandeis, Mayor Cohen, Frida Ehrman, Ruth Bordy Fiedler, Betty Fisher, David Gallner, Miriam Zapp Goldberg, Bennett Goldsmith, Robert Hack, James W. Hager, Maria R. Hellman, Fanny Jacks, Lawrence A. Jacobs, Julie Kalman, Helen Kolakowski, Lena A. Lipp, Adolph Mayer, Rochelle Roy Myers, Dorothy Milder, Bella Nadler, Julie Ann Novak, Bernie Ostrovich, Florence B. Pepper, Jane Appleman Phillips, Lawrence Plattner, Selma Rayfeld, Ethel Ringel, James I. Robinson, Alexander Rosen, Helen G. Rosenblum, J. B. Rosenstock, Susan Nassauer Rotholtz, Rosalie Salen, Bertha Selden, Ruth Rothman Shapiro, Mark R. Sherman, David Sherman, Grace R. Singer, Dora Spiceberger, Harry Stern, Sophie Taubin, George Bruce Tuttle, Tilly Wolfson. If there are any additions or corrections, we invite you to mention them at this time. We recall as well the 6 million who perished in the violence of the Shoah. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled. We invite all others who so choose to rise as well as we join together in Kaddish Yatom, Mourner's Kaddish. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Bagala vizman kariv vimru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lameo maya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiram b'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved. Together as one loving family, let us say, amen. You may be seated. And a few things to mention as we conclude our service here this evening. Again, a huge thank you to Sarah for filling in for Cantor and to Julie for accompanying us, and a special debt of gratitude to our team in the back who saved our tuchuses. Thank you, guys. Our first Sunday for youth learning is August 20th, so that's one Sunday from this Sunday. If you know of any families who've been considering joining our youth learning program, please have them call the Temple office to connect with Director of Education Jenny Gates Beckman. YLP offers programming for families with children from birth to teen years. Any new or returning families must enroll via the Temple website ASAP, so our faculty starts off with all that they need to welcome their students. They were here busily working this past Sunday to get the rooms ready. They'll be here this Sunday working to get all the rooms and the curriculum and everything else ready. So we would love to know who all is going to be joining us. August 20th is also a wonderful community opportunity for the women of our congregation to meet the lovely Joy Sharff. Oh, I think I know her. Join us for Rosh Chodesh from 2 to 4 at the Swanson Towers for an afternoon of light fare and conversation. Please RSVP to Danielle Gordman by Monday, and she is looking forward to meeting everyone who's joining in at the Rosh Chodesh gathering a week from Sunday. Our last Holy Smokes for the summer is on Tuesday, August 29th. We're inviting the men for an evening on the patio that consists of stogies, stouts, and studious conversation and lots of alliteration. As we approach the High Holy Days, we're looking for more volunteers for Toby's team. If you're interested in greeting, ushering during services, general High Holiday prep, delivering a sermon, being on the food drive team, or have any other ideas for how you could help, we want to hear from you. For more information, please reach out to Joseph Benson. Speaking of High Holy Days, information is coming. A special print edition of Tidings will be in your mailboxes in the next couple of weeks. But save the date for Slichot on September 9th, and Rosh Hashanah begins on September 15th, despite my best efforts. Have we missed anything? Okay. Well then, with that in mind, we will continue with Kiddush. We invite you to please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam,
Borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lemaaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'charta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha b'yahava uvratzon inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-shabbat. L'chaim. Freshly squeezed. We join together now in Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. And now we'll join together with Sarah in our concluding song, O Say Shalom.
O say shalom b'mroma, O say shalom aleinu,
ve'al kol Yisrael,
ve'al kol yoshei
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Shabbat Shalom, Zoomies.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.